The Alliance of American Football finally kicked off this past weekend, finally putting to rest if the leadership of this league can get these games actually on TV. With the crazy social media presence and spectacular hits, the AAF made a statement this weekend that they're for real and they want to be taken seriously. In this video, I break down week 1, give you my takes on the action, and what we can expect to see in the next couple of weeks. Hi, my name is Mike Floyd for the Turf Toe Show, and if you like this video, hit like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Okay, so the first game I want to start out with is the Atlanta Legends at the Orlando Apollos. There was a lot of questions leading up to this game about the coaching staff, if these guys will even be ready to even play this game. So if you don't know, the original coach for Atlanta Legends was Brad Childress. Brad Childress ended up dropping out maybe like 2 weeks before training camps even started up. Then there was rumors that Aaron Murray lost his starting job to Matt Sims, and they had been touting Aaron Murray as a starting quarterback as this big thing coming back. He played for the University of Georgia. You know, he's a Georgia hero. I think he ended up beating Alabama in that title game. So there was like a huge fanfare for this guy. And then I want to say 4 days before kickoff even started, reports came out that Mike Vick was no longer the offensive coordinator. And so all offseason, they were talking about how Mike Vick was going to be the offensive coordinator. He was being brought in to help lead these guys, teach these guys how to play quarterbacks in different systems. He was going to be, he even had like a glowing recommendation from NFL coaches to have him as an offensive coordinator. They claimed that his priorities with Fox Sports as a commentator actually caused him to lose time, and like he wouldn't be able to actually be there with the team to do anything. So he's still with the team, but he's more like in a consulting role, like they're just to help out the players, whatever that means. But he's no longer the offensive coordinator, so they had to install another person in there with the new head coach. So there's no telling what their system's going to be, because obviously they had whatever system they're running right now is not effective. Matt Sims, the starting quarterback, went 15 of 28 for 126 yards and threw 2 interceptions. When Aaron Murray finally did come in, he went 4-7 for 38 yards and had an interception himself. The Atlanta Apollos, on the other hand, were just dominant from the jump. Garrett Gilbert went 15 of 25 for 227 yards, 2 TDs, and he also had a 2-point conversion. He also had a reception as well, which was pretty awesome. On the rushing side for the Atlanta Legends, Terrian Folston, 12 carries, 32 yards. He had 2.7 yards per carry. His longest run was 10 yards. Wasn't really that effective. You had Lawrence Pittman, 3 carries for 24 yards. I think it was 8 yards per carry, and 13 was his longest run. For the Apollos, Akeem Hunt just went off. He had 10 carries for 73 yards. An average yard per carry was 7.3. His longest run was 31 yards. No touchdowns though. Devin Smith actually stole a touchdown from him. Yeah, he had 5 carries for 13 yards. His longest was 9, and he had 1 touchdown. He also got the 2-point conversion as well for them. On the receiving end for the Atlanta Legends, you had Santavius Jones, who had 3 receptions, 8 targets, 43 yards, and his longest was 24. For the Apollos, it was just all over the field. First of all, you had Charles Johnson, who had 4 receptions, 6 targets, 60 yards, longest 25. Jalen Marshall, 3 receptions, 5 targets, 51 yards, longest 26. Ishmael Hyman, Darius Johnson, Chris Thompson, Devin Smith. I mean, Garrett Gilbert was just slinging the ball over the field. But that's a Steve Spurrier type offense. The run and gun, like he's known for this. So Steve Spurrier came out the gate. He hasn't been coaching for years, and he's already dominating. So I don't know, personally, I don't know if we should chalk up to the fact that there's so much dysfunction with the Atlanta Legends team right now, and that the Atlanta Apollos just happen to be there at the right moment, right time. But they just seem to be clicking on all cylinders. They're firing on all cylinders. Defense-wise, the Apollos just blanketed the Legends. I mean, it was just all over. The one thing I was paying attention to was the kicking, because Young-Ho Koo, you know, he was with the Chargers for a while, and he was like he was highly touted for a bunch for that. Well, he plays for the Atlanta Legends now. He went 2 for 2, longest 38. So it seems like they took out kicking. They took off the kickoff in this game. So, you know, those kickers aren't getting that recognition. But as you'll see when I talk about like the Iron and some other games, kicking those field goals, because these guys somehow cannot score except for if you're the Apollos, they're having a hard time scoring. So these kickers are going to come in handy. So my offensive player of this particular game, I'm gonna give it to a running back because I'm super biased like that, and everybody always gives it to the quarterbacks, but I'm gonna give it to Akeem Hunt for the 10 carries, 73 yards, as long as with 31. Personally, that's just me. I'm a running back kind of guy, but you'd be surprised on a couple other picks I have for the other games. My defensive player for this game is going to be Terrence Garvin, who had 8 total tackles, 7 solo. He also had 2 interceptions and 2 pass deflections. So the dude was just out there balling out. Also want to give a shout out to Young-Ho Koo, because he actually made some field goals this time. Also, if you get a chance, check out what they're calling the Apollo special. It's based after the Philly special from the Super Bowl that the Apollos ran, and it worked out perfect for them. So check that out. It's all over YouTube, it's all over social media, so it's a banger. The second game up is the San Diego Fleet at the San Antonio Commanders. I actually went to this game. I messed around and got some tickets, so I was like, hey, I'll make this 3-hour drive and go up here and see it. And I'm glad I did. Absolutely glad I did. The San Diego Fleet ended up losing 6-15. And it was just a straight up defensive battle the entire time in that game. There was some big hits. Like, I'm not gonna put the hit on this actual video because I'm pretty sure it'll get copy striked by the Alliance in an instant, but it's all over social media. It's all over ESPN. That massive hit on Mike Bercoach. I can never say this guy's name, Mike Bercovici or whatever his name is. He just got lit up the entire game. He just got lit up. So if you can find that clip, just look for AAF big hit on YouTube or somewhere. I'll probably find it and link it to it in the description, but dude got hit. But Mike Bercovici, he went 15-25 for 176 yards. He had 2 interceptions. During the entire game, everybody in the stands, even the San Diego Fleet fans that were there, were just like, dude, replace him. Like, get him out of the game. After those hits and those couple of interceptions, it just looked bad. Well, the head coach, I guess he was thinking the same thing. So Mike got sat down. Philip Nelson came in, he went 5-10 for 68 yards. He threw 1 interception, but it was like at the end of the game, it sealed the game. But he was also named the starter going forward for the San Diego Fleet. So I think maybe Mike Martz saw some upside too, having Philip Nelson in there. For the San Antonio Commanders, Logan Woodside, he ran the whole thing. I mean, he went 18-36 for 225 yards, but his production in that first half was not really there. He had 2 interceptions as well. For the San Diego Fleet, their rushing was actually, they were trying it, but that defensive front for the San Antonio Commanders was not letting it happen. Jaquan Gardner had 8 carries for 55 yards. His longs were 25 yards. And Philip Nelson, that's the name that kept flashing the entire time during the game. He had 3 carries for 20 yards, and his longs was 11. For the San Antonio Commanders, the guy that I thought was actually going to have a great game, Kenneth Farrell II, he was quietly shut down. He had 14 carries, 37 yards. His longs was 6. He had the touchdown, the only rushing touchdown of the game, but he was just completely shut down the entire game. And he just got lucky that when they bounced it out to the outside, all the holes were just open right there. Aaron Green was actually more productive. He had 6 carries for 43 yards. His longs was 21. So I'm thinking that possibly Mike Riley's going to start rotating those 2 guys in back to back. David Cobb also had 9 carries for 36 yards for the long of 10. So I think there's going to be a running back by committee if Farrell doesn't get on his game, especially with the Apollos coming in next week. They're going to have to really make sure they're sharp, especially if those Apollos that played against Atlanta show up next week in San Antonio, they're going to have to be really sharp. Receiving wise, the big name we kept hearing for the San Diego Fleet was Gavin Escobar. He used to play for the Dallas Cowboys. He had 4 receptions. He was targeted 6 times. He kept dropping passes. 66 yards, longs 26 yards. Brian Brown, he had 5 receptions for 7 targets, 66 yards again. His longs was 29. No receiving touchdowns for the Fleet. Same thing, no receiving touchdowns for the Commanders. Mikael McKay had 5 receptions, 12 targets though, 80 yards again on the day with 22 in his longest. Alonzo Moore had the longest reception for the San Antonio Commanders. He had 3 receptions for 5 targets, 78 yards. The story for these 2 teams though was their defense, because during that first half, like, those defenses were just stout. Like, man, they were hitting. Like, I'm talking about hitting. For the San Diego Fleet, Demontre Moore had 5 tackles, 4 solo. He had a pass deflection. Ryan Moeller just balled out. He had 5 tackles, and he created all 5 of those tackles by himself. He had 2 pass deflections, and he had 1 interception. Then Ron Brooks also he went 3 of 3. He had 2 pass deflections and 1 interception. So everybody's getting picks out here, baby. Like, if you're watching these games, especially in that Iron game, there's picks galore. For the Commanders, Ryan Stewart had 4 tackles. He had 4 solo tackles. He had 2 pass deflections and an interception. Darren Smith went 3 of 3. He had 1 pass deflection. And Devontae Bosby, 3 of 3. He had 2 pass deflections and an interception as well. So, like I said, there's interceptions galore. With the quarterback play that we're going to be seeing in this league, for maybe the next 2-3 weeks, we're probably going to see these guys slowly get under command, and no pun intended, but slowly get comfortable in that pocket with the new system, with the new play clock, because it is shorter, and with these O linemen that's slowly melding together, because they had 30 days to get these teams together. So we're going to see these guys finally settle it down. But until then, these DBs are going to look amazing. My offensive players for the Commanders, I'm going to give it to Logan Woodside. I mean, it's a QB, but actually, no, scratch that. I'm going to give it to Aaron Green. Yeah, I'm going to take it from the quarterback. I'm going to give it to the running back. 6 carries, 43 yards, as long as 21. Yeah, even though Kenneth Farrell scored the touchdown, I'm not going to give it to him. He didn't earn it. For the defense, I got to give it to the winning team. I'm going to give it to Ryan Stewart. He had the 4 tackles. He had the 2 pass deflections and an interception. All right, so on to the third game. We had Memphis Express at the Birmingham Iron. This was... Actually, I think maybe I was the only one really saying this, but I did see it on social media. It's going to be touted as a defensive battle because you had 2 defensive-minded coaches coaching these 2 teams. The Memphis Express ended up getting a goose egg, losing to the Birmingham Iron 26-0. Christian Hackenberg just looked not good at all. He went 10 to 23 for 87 yards and 1 interception. Luis Perez, he just went off. He went 19 to 33, 252 yards. He did end up getting that 2-point conversion. The big story about this game was Trent Richardson. He was touted as coming back to Alabama. You know, this is going to be the restart for his career. And that's honestly how I started watching this. Got interested in this league because I heard about Trent Richardson coming back for this particular thing. So he had 23 carries, 58 yards. His longest was 10 yards. He had 2 TDs. But he did have a fumble that luckily his defense, because the Birmingham Iron's defense is just, it's iron. It was holding. But luckily they bailed him out on that. So the Express couldn't store on that. Zach Stacy for the Memphis Express, he had 12 carries, 58 yards, as long as 11. Zach Stacy was working, but Trent Richardson showed that he's gonna be a bell cow workhorse for the Birmingham Iron. He's going to get that pressure off of Luis Perez so Luis can stand in that pocket and just command like he did all day long. For the Iron, there's going to be a connection like between Perez and Patton that's going to be there all season long. Dude had 4 receptions. He had 9 targets. He had 107 yards. His longest was 42. Dude was all over the field. Bowman, he got hurt early, but he had 2 receptions to 2 targets, 32 yards. His longest was 17. DeVace Felton, I want to say they call him Turbo. I might be wrong on that one. If I am wrong, put it down in the comments and let me know exactly if that's the wrong nickname. Because the commentators at the time were just trash. I didn't like them. But he had 1 reception for 32 yards. Longest was 32. It was a little short dude, a little about my height. Memphis Express, Alton Pig Howard had 4 receptions, 6 targets, 32 yards. Longest was 17. Hackenberg just couldn't get the ball to anybody. He was just checking down over and over and over again. And by the time he actually got the ball out, I mean, he was throwing like double coverages the entire time. There was blatant times like you could see guys wide open. By the time Hackenberg saw him, it was too late. It was just completely too late. So for defensive wise, these guys they had a game. They were shutting down the running backs. They didn't let any points scored. Jonathan Massaquoi, he had 15 total tackles, 2 solo tackles. Beniquez Brown, he had 4 total tackles, 2 solo tackles, 1 fumble, and as well as Jamar Summers, he had 2 of 1. He had 3 pass deflections, 1 interception, 1 forced fumble. On the other side of the ball, the defense for the Memphis Express wasn't bad. It was actually really good. It's just that their offense couldn't get any points on the board. And by the time the 4th quarter hit around, they were just like, they're done. Like, they were gassed. DeMarcus Gates had a game, though. He had 10 total tackles, 9 solo tackles, and 2 forced fumbles. But yeah, I mean, DeMarcus Gates, I mean, that Express defense is straight up bend, don't break. They got to figure out what they're going to do about, their quarterback situation. I don't think Hackenberg is the answer. For some reason, Brandon Silvers actually came in. He went 1 drive and threw an interception on his first drive, 3 or 4. So that was pretty hilarious to me. Now, the reason why this game was so crazy, because one of the big things that the Alliance of American Football has been talking about is how they're going to have these sky judges. They're going to make the call, make it right, so the guys on the field don't have to make it. They'll be able to see like the angles that we see, all this crazy stuff, right? It's going to be right there in the stadium. Where there was a big call where it was clear to everybody in the stands, everybody watching, the commentators, everybody in the field, that ball hit the ground. It was incomplete. That sky judge sat there and stated there was not enough evidence in order to overturn it because the judge that was behind the receivers, because from that referee's point of view, he looked like the receiver caught the ball. But if you was looking straight on to where his hands were, that ball hit the ground and then bounced back up to his arms. So when he rolled over, he had it. So he might have felt like he caught it and didn't know it hit the ground, but that ball hit the ground. The sky judge you can hear everything he's saying. It's like, oh, there's not enough evidence to show that it touched it. He didn't have control of the ball because he didn't have control of the ball. Even the guys on the field that he was talking to was like, look, dude, everybody on the field already thinks this is an incomplete pass. Well, They kept the call on the field, said it was a completed pass, and kept it moving. And you can see it in Singletary's face. You can hear the announcers like, dude, well, that's the way the ball bounces. So I expect there's going to be, I don't know what they're looking at. It looked like he's either looking at like a tiny screen or maybe a tablet, but y'all need to get these guys some 4K TVs or something so they can see everything on that field. Because calls like that, I mean, yeah, the game was, the Express probably wouldn't have done anything with it, but still though, it's just the fact that they didn't get that call. And maybe they could have rolled that momentum and got some points on the board. It might not have been game changing, but it was still pretty bad. It was a bad look, especially with them trying to become a legitimate league and have everybody talking about them. You know that's going to be all over social media for the next couple days until the next set of games. So it was just a bad look on that judge's part. So the last game of the weekend was the Salt Lake Stallions at the Arizona Hotshots. In my opinion, this was the best game. It was actually the closest game. I mean, as close as you're going to get it starting out now. Salt Lake Stallions fell to the Arizona Hotshots in Arizona 22-38. Both quarterbacks kind of showed up. Well, really, Arizona's quarterback showed up. John Wolford for the Arizona Hotshots. He was 18-29, pretty good. 275 yards, 9.5 yards per attempt, 4 TDs, and 2 two-point conversions. Josh Woodrum was 10-22, so yeah, not really that good. He had 103 yards, 4.7 yards per average per passing attempt. He had 1 TD, but he also had 1 interception, and he had 1 two-point conversion. Matt Linehan, he came in, I want to say around the third. He came in about midway the third. He was 7-13, 56 yards, 4.3 yards per attempt, and 1 TD, and also 1 interception. But John Wolford looked legit. I know in my the other game breakdowns, I was talking about how the QBs gotta get, they gotta get on point. But the only 2 QBs that really showed up this weekend were the ones for the Orlando Apollos and John Wolford for the Hotshots. Like, they were on point this weekend. For running backs, the big story coming out was that Matt Asiata was playing for the Salt Lake Stallions. He was a hero of the Vikings when Adrian Peterson got suspended for all those games. He only had 4 carries for 4 yards. Not good, my guy. Brandon Oliver actually stepped in, 8 carries, 40 yards. He had a long of 9, and he had the 1 2-point conversion. Joel Bouganoon had 16 carries, 39 yards. So he was it was a bell cow workhorse. He was mainly the main running back out there. He had the long of 9 for the Arizona Hotshots. Jarrell Presley, he had 18 carries, 64 yards, and a 1 2-point conversion. John Wolford, also the quarterback, had 8 carries for 23 yards. That dude was just all over the place, man. If he's the quarterback that I'm gonna follow pretty much the rest of the time that I'm watching this league. Like, I like that guy. Receiver wise, pretty much it was all Rashad Ross. Rashad Ross was everywhere. 5 receptions, 7 targets, 103 yards, the longest of 41. He had 2 TDs. Every time you looked up, this dude was scoring. He was in the end zone. Like, this guy was everywhere. Jarrell Presley had 1 reception for 2 targets. He had 30 yards and long of 30, 1 TD. Also, Jarrell Christian, he had a touchdown as well. So pretty much everybody was getting the ball. If you play for the Arizona Hotshots, John Wolford was going to be thrown at you. On the Salt Lake Stallions, kind of same story. Anthony Denham, had 5 targets, 59 yards. Nick Truesdell had a touchdown, and Jordan Leslie had a touchdown as well. The biggest thing that I found hilarious about this game was the fact that Nick Folk missed a field goal. Nick Folk went 2 of 3 for field goals. He had a long of 53, so he scored 6 points on his own. But the reason why Nick Folk is not in the NFL right now, because he kept doinking field goals. And Maurice Jones-Drew during the commentating was stating like, hey, one of the main reasons why a lot of these NFL teams are going through kickers so many times is because they keep doinking the ball off the uprights. And what does Nick Novak do? No, my bad. And so what does Nick Folk do? He doinks the ball off the upright. Yeah, you gotta figure that out, my guy. Defensive wise, it was a pretty standard NFL type defensive night for these guys. Steven Johnson had 7 tackles and an interception and a pass deflection, and Cody Brown had 6 tackles. But it was pretty basic. Pretty much it wasn't the defensive shutdowns like we were seeing with the other games, like the Iron Curtain that they're calling the Birmingham Iron, or the Commanders and Fleet game where it was a defensive struggle over there. But all in all, this was a more balanced game. It was more kind of what I expected from the Alliance of American Football. So I actually appreciate this game. Actually, let me back this up. The one thing I actually didn't expect from this game was Marvin Lewis. Marvin Lewis was the former coach for the Cincinnati Bengals, was a commentator. Now, I know a lot of people don't like him. He was a head coach for way too long. He should have retired or been fired a long time before that. When I first saw him on the screen, I was like, why is this dude out here? This is bummy, like, get somebody else. But that dude actually, once he got into that rhythm and MJD was like kind of bringing it out of him, he's not a bad commentator. So he's no Tony Romo, but I like it. I like what the NFL Network did there. So the last thing I want to do is a couple takeaways I got from this past weekend for week 1. First, the non-kickoff idea is brilliant. I absolutely love it. I absolutely don't miss it. I absolutely hate the fact that ever is a kickoff. I mean, I understand it's tradition. It's like the whole like, then the kicks off and nobody cares. It's just a waste of time. Do like the Alliance does. Just put the ball right there at the 25. Just go with it. Just done. Just run. Have your first play already in mind. You already know where you're starting at. Just run the ball. Let's just go. Number 2, these games do actually run faster. Being in the stadium, the Alamo Dome for the Commanders game, that game went by quick. I think the longest period of time that I was there was actually standing in line to buy some merch, which I think everybody else in the stands that didn't know what was like the whole concept of this league was to make the games go by faster. Because when they went to during halftime in the food court, they didn't get back to like the fourth quarter because it was already the fourth quarter. By the time they're like, "Oh, what happened?" Hey man, they're here they're running this. The clock is running. Number 3, having the Sky Ref able to watch the games at game speed at an above angle does help out. There was a couple calls in these games that you can definitely tell having that Sky Ref there helps out. Not having to call up to another, like an outside organization, like kind of like how like the NBA has them call out to wherever the NBA headquarters is. And I highly suspect the NFL is probably going to implement something like this, just to have that second level of refereeing. I guess you want to call it. But if you're going to have the Sky Refs, you got to make sure they have every possible angle that they can have in order to get these calls right. We can't have something like the Birmingham Iron incident happen again. I understand that this is the game 1 for them. Well, this week 1 for them. There are going to be some kinks. They are working this out. So I do expect them to kind of make some more, either hire some more cameras, get better angles for these guys, get better, screen stuff, or maybe even have 2 Sky judges up there. So there were like, if one guy's not sure and the other one's sure about something, they can kind of confer with each other and just like boom, done. Also, I don't want to be in that position because that looks like it sucks knowing that we can hear everything, which takes me to number 4. Be able to hear everything on the field is awesome. I sat there and watched the dudes with the giant, like, looks like a giant plastic bowl thing aiming at players and the coaches and everything. That was awesome. Hearing what the coaches are saying, hearing the players on the field, hearing hearing Hackenberger just going off, just dropping F-bombs on live TV was hilarious to me. But that's the actual motion you get from these games. So hearing these guys talk about it is awesome. Plus being able to hear what the coaches are telling the players, hearing the QBs in the pocket actually calling the plays, it's pretty cool. One of the commentators actually made the comment stating that every time Hackenberger said, I think it was like Monday or something like that, you knew that they were going to go on the first snap count. So I think the defense keyed on that. So that's something that they're going to have to work on. And my last point is these QBs need a lot of work. I get that they only had 30 days to get these teams together. I get that. But most of these guys that are playing right now were either undrafted or drafted and sat on, not college, but NFL rosters for the longest time. Like, I keep going back to this express teams that Hattenberger he balled out for Penn State. He's a baller, but he didn't show it today. So I don't know if it's the nerves or what, but these quarterbacks got to get they got to get comfortable in the pocket. They got to get used to the new play clock, the shorter play clock. They got to get used to it. If not, it's going to become just a DB for bonanza and make these DBs look amazing because there's going to be picks everywhere. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Turf Toe Show. If you like this video, hit like, hit subscribe, and share with your friends. If you don't agree with me at all, let me know in the comments because I actually like talking to you guys. If you notice, every time one of you comments and I see it, I'm gonna speak back. I love talking to people about, how they feel about this. Maybe you thought the Express did something totally different than what I thought, or maybe the Hotshots did this and you thought that. Let me know. I like discussing this with people. I mean, there's no point when we all just agree with each other. Until next time, guys, we'll see you in week 2.